Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Egypt's President Mubarak resigns, handing power to the military. The Egyptian street erupts with joy, and Arabs celebrate across the Middle East. Mosaic, world news from the Middle East, begins now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present an important communique from the Office of the Presidency.
In
the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful.
في هذه الظروف العصيبة التي تمر بها البلاد.
My fellow citizens, in these difficult times our country is experiencing, President Mohammed Hosni Mubarak has decided to waive the office of the presidency and instructed the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces to run the affairs of the country. May God guide and help our state.
والله الموفق والمستعان.
أهلا بكم مشاهدينا الكرام. أخيرا سمع الشعب المصري الجملة التي
The Egyptian people have finally heard the phrase they have been waiting to hear for more than 17 days. To recap, General Omar Suleiman came out a short while ago to announce that President Hosni Mubarak had transferred power to the army. Mubarak was expected to resign yesterday. Instead, he delivered a speech that further agitated the angry crowd.
ولكنه لم يتم وخرج الرئيس مبارك بخطاب أجج المشاعر الغاضبة. ولكن
Today, the picture completely changed. Celebrations are now taking place across Egypt. Egyptians are celebrating the toppling of Hosni Mubarak's regime.
حسني مبارك. إذن قال اللواء
General Omar Suleiman said President Mohammed Hosni Mubarak has decided to waive the office of the presidency and instructed the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces to run the affairs of the country.
ومعنا من أمام القصر الجمهوري.
Joining us from in front of the presidential palace is Akdam Suleiman. Akdam, describe the joy that is currently taking place on Egyptian streets.
يصعب فعلا إيجاد الكلمات اللي وصف لحظة قفز فيها الآلاف من. It is very difficult to find words to describe this moment, as thousands of people gathering here in front of the presidential palace have jumped up together while waving the flag, expressing joy over the news of the Egyptian president's resignation. Many of the protesters had plans to spend the night here to organize and take part in the pre-scheduled march. Many also had plans to march from Tahrir Square to the presidential palace amid the heavy security measures in effect. However, all these plans have suddenly changed in light of the latest development, marking the victory of the revolution. Since their arrival here at the presidential palace, the protesters said today would be their final day, or their final battle against President Mohammed Hosni Mubarak, or former President Mubarak. However, many didn't expect that this final episode in the struggle between the protesters and the president would end this quickly and decisively, especially after the president's disappointing speech yesterday. Protesters waved shoes in dismay after Mubarak's speech, with some referring to it as the shoes speech. Today, people are celebrating amid heavy security measures. They are waving the flag and sounding car horns in front of army tanks and soldiers. Currently, there's a sense of stability, comfort, and relief felt by everyone. People are hugging one another and calling each other on the phone. In the background, we can hear the word mabruk, or congratulations. Some are talking about the release of prisoners. This is a historic moment indeed.
Dear viewers, we report on the citizens' reaction following the announcement that President Hosni Mubarak has resigned from the office of the presidency and instructed the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces to run the affairs of the country.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. I am a teacher at an elementary school. My name is Mohammed Saeed Hashim from Beni Suef province. I would like to say one thing. Today, Egyptian television will start a new era and forget the old one. The deception and misrepresentation of truth is history. We must report on real news now. Egyptian TV will become neutral. Why? Because of the January 25th revolution, the revolution of the youth.
I'm a young man from Asyut. Thank God I came here. Long live Egypt. Thank God he resigned. The youth must now go back home. The entire regime must change because that's our main demand. We will get back to work and fix our country.
Congratulations to the Egyptian people. Congratulations to the revolution of the youth. We were victorious. The oppressor is gone. God will hold the corrupt accountable. God willing, all of us united will prove to the world that Egypt is fine.
Today we attain what we've been dreaming of for 30 years. We are really a great people. We are a creative people. We have people like Dr. Zuhail and others who impress the world. We are a noble people. We are the people of the crossing. We are the people of the Bar-Lev line. We are the people who taught the entire world the meaning of civilization and progress.
What will we do tomorrow?
We will work very hard. We will even drink the sand. We will be patient. The high prices, low salaries, everything. We will be patient. We will show the entire world that we were never a barbaric or backward people. We are a civilized people. Our civilization is 7,000 years old.
We now go live to the Egyptian embassy in Beirut with my colleague Hussein Hares.
Many Egyptians living in Lebanon said they used to always be embarrassed when Lebanese people asked them, when are you going to stand up to that tyrant Hosni Mubarak? Well, today they are not embarrassed at all when they're asked that question.
We're watching the fireworks, and people are giving out sweets to passers-by to express their joy on the occasion of Hosni Mubarak's fall.
مشاهدينا الأخبار العاجلة تتوالى من القاهرة أولها تنحي الرئيس الحسني.
Breaking news from Cairo. President Hosni Mubarak has stepped down and the military council, led by Egyptian Defense Minister Hussein Tantawi, will take over the administration of Egypt in this next phase.
رئاسة المجلس العسكري لإدارة شؤون مصر في هذه المرحلة. طبعا نتابع ردود.
There are various international reactions to President Mubarak's departure. The EU expressed its respect for Mubarak's decision to leave and said it is ready to provide any help to Egypt it may need.
موقف الاتحاد الأوروبي الذي احترم قرار مبارك بالتنحي وقال أن الاتحاد الأوروبي مستعد لتقديم أي مساعدة
Mr. Omar Ismail, Secretary General of the Egyptian Union in the UK, is here with us in the studio.
المصريين في بريطانيا معنا هنا في الاستوديو سيد عمر إسماعيل. ما هي نوع المساعدة التي يمكن أن يقدمها؟
Mr. Omar Ismail, what kind of help can the EU provide Egypt at this time?
الفترة.
طبعا من الطبيعي جدا ان الاتحاد الاوروبي يهمه اولا واخيرا.
It's natural that the European Union cares a great deal about Egypt's political stability, because without stability, no government, military or civilian, can work to serve the country.
كان شكلها سواء عسكريه او مدنيه انها تقوم باي عمل في خدمة البلاد. دي حاجة. الحاجة الثانية أعتقد أن المساعدات.
Second, I believe the help that European countries, or more specifically EU countries, can provide is to help Egypt build a democracy by sharing their experience, such as how to work with democracy.
مساعدة يعني استخدام المعرفة. كيف نتعامل مع الديمقراطية؟ نحن لا نحتاج للتعليم.
We don't need to be taught what democracy is. The young people have spoken, but we will need tools to help us establish a real and healthy democracy in which a good government can be built for Egypt.
هذه الديمقراطية السليمة، الديمقراطية الصحيحة التي يقوم عليها نظام صحيح للحكم في مصر. فهناك
Of course, there are many competent people, Egyptians and Europeans, who will be providing their help to reach agreements and meet people's demands. But I believe that Egypt has the capability to achieve whatever it wants.
عن طريق اتفاقيات أو عن طريق طلبات تقدمها مصر، لكن أعتقد أن مصر لها وعندها الكفاءة التي تمكنها من تحقيق ما تريده.
The talent of many people was wasted in the Mubarak era, or even before Mubarak, because employment was based on nepotism, not qualifications.
وأصبح التعامل مع أهل الثقة وليس مع أهل المعرفة. فأعتقد أن الدور الأوروبي الآن هو.
I believe that the role of the European countries now is to meet the requests that any new system will have in order to continue or strengthen a new political system in Egypt that benefits the people and brings them prosperity. For example, it can continue the effects of the trade agreements.
ويضمن الله رخاؤه. الاتفاقيات التجارية مثلا تستمر. هناك اتفاقيات تجارية ما بين.
There are preferred partner trade agreements between the EU and Egypt. These will remain.
مصر سوف تستمر هذه.
سيد عمر، يعني ردود الفعل الدولية تتوالى. حكومة حماس تقول.
Mr. Omar, there is rippling international reaction. Hamas's government said that the revolution's victory is a victory for the people of Egypt. Qatar said the change of government in Egypt is a positive step. Israel says that it hopes for a smooth transition of power in Egypt. What does Israel worry about or fear in this particular phase?
هو أول مخاوف إسرائيل هو تواجد نظام.
Israel's first fear is that Egypt will have a government that does not have good intentions in regards to Israel, or a system based on religion, led either by the Muslim Brotherhood or another group.
قائم على نظام ديني، سواء كان إخوان المسلمين أو غيرهم. أنا لا أعتقد أن هذا في مما رأيناه.
Personally, I do not believe that this is what the young people in the protests want.
دينية بالأكثر. أعتقد أن إسرائيل
They don't really have any religious ambitions. It's quite the contrary.
بعد هذا نظام الحكم في مصر ليس يكون دينيا، أن يكون النظام الجديد للحكم في مصر يوافق.
I believe Israel is also extremely concerned that the government in Egypt is no longer right-wing, and that the new leaders will want to change the peace treaty Anwar Sadat signed with Israel and the US, which is implemented in the Mubarak era. Naturally, there is also the issue of natural gas, which Israel buys from Egypt.
At a low price.
I was in Egypt about 7 months ago. I can tell you that petrol gas there was 45 Egyptian pounds per gallon. This is beyond many Egyptians' budgets. But this is a commercial and strategic issue.
The politicians around the world, they must be thinking, what do we do with this?
Obviously, it's a very fast-moving event around the world. And as the American and the Israeli are taken by surprises, what's going to come next is the position of the Egyptian people. It's going to take more the Israeli and the American by surprise, because the Egyptians are free people. They have dignity. They have a pride. They have their love for Al-Quds. They have the love for Palestine. They have the love for their brother in Iran. They have their love for their brother in Lebanon. They know what it means to have a free country from occupation. Egypt for 30 years was occupied by the Zionists, by the Americans. Today it's liberated. That's why we see the Israeli embassy in Cairo closed down. They should do what the Iranians did in 79. Get that embassy out of Egypt. That's what to continue the victory and the celebration, they have to get that embassy out of Egypt and have actually the free will of the people. And
Kamal Wasni, can I just get you get some reaction on this from you? I do apologise if I just keep jumping in. Bear with me because we're getting so much news in a flurry. You're talking about getting the American embassy out. Well, I'll tell you something. Reports are saying the Israeli embassy is just closed in Cairo. What do you make of that?
No, I said the Israeli embassy.
Oh, right, I misheard you.
The Israeli embassy, they have to get it out of the way.
Well, we're hearing it's been closed. We're hearing it's been closed. There's reports saying we're getting in right now that the Israeli embassy in Cairo has just closed down.
Well, the Israeli embassy should be shut down for indefinitely, forever, not only for now. And that's what should be part of the transformation of the Middle East. That Egypt, it's 80 million people. They want to side with the new Middle East, the Middle East that coordinate its work with its brother around the world to lift the siege of Gaza, to lift the siege of the Palestinians. They don't want to be, as Hosni Mubarak and his entourage participate in the killing of the Palestinians for a very long time.
Mr. Kamel Wasni, may I ask you this, because I think many of our viewers are going to ask this from exactly what you said. They're going to be like, hold on a minute, isn't this exactly why Western politicians don't like these kind of, well, not the revolution, I mean, they've come out and said, go people, but this is why they don't like this kind of rhetoric. Why such a harsh line on Israel?
Because Israel been raping and pillaging, raping and destroying the Palestinian livelihood. They've been continuing the settlement. They never thought about peace treatment except to serve their own interests, occupying Palestinian land and driving the Palestinian out of their land. Because when the world was watching and Gaza being bombarded by the Israeli, nobody said anything about the Israeli crime, the crime against the Palestinians. When Israel was bombing Lebanon, nobody said anything about the Israeli crime. So the action of the Israeli justify any statement that we say regarding that issue. The crime that committed by the Israeli, supported by the American, anything that we say would be short because there is not enough words to express what the American and Israeli did in our world.
Mr. Walid, let me ask you about the Muslim Brotherhood. What role will you play in the new government? Is the party now legitimate after having been banned? Are you going to nominate a candidate in the next presidential elections? Will you participate in parliamentary elections or in any civic councils formed in the transitional phase?
The Brotherhood's role will never be severed from the masses and the attainment of their demands. The Brotherhood has always been at the heart of events, serving the people with everything it has. Thanks to the Almighty God, all Egyptian citizens know and feel our presence. As for the party, the Brothers have not decided on its path yet. The Brothers have decided not to nominate a candidate in the next presidential elections. The Brothers have never sought power and will never run after it. However, the Brotherhood only seeks to serve these masses and to serve the Egyptian people. When it comes to politics, the Brothers seek to serve the Almighty God and the people, not anything else. The presidency and other top positions mean nothing to us, but the brothers will play a role in local and national elections. Our slogan is to support, not interfere. Our role will be to carry out the people's agenda and defend their goals. We won't forget the Egyptian people and their cause, and we will do whatever we can to support them. The brothers will seek to rectify past errors. We are with the masses. We will never abandon them.
He went from being Google's marketing manager in the Middle East and North Africa to the spokesman of the Intifada of the Egyptian youth. From his Facebook page, he launched a campaign that initiated a revolt in Tahrir Square demanding the overthrow of the regime. My colleague Basel Aridi introduces Wael Ghanem in today's figure.
This
young man was working for Google in the United Arab Emirates as the Middle East and North Africa's marketing manager for Google's user products and as director for the development of products that benefit Arab users. He never thought his name would become a trend on Google's search engine and other websites. January 25th was not an ordinary day for the Egyptian people. For Wael Ghanem, it was a dream come true, an unexpected dream, even if he was the one promoting it. The man who inspired the Egyptian youth was born in Egypt and grew up in the Emirates. He obtained a master's degree in business administration with honors from the American University in Cairo in 2007. Shortly before January 25th, Wael started a Facebook campaign demanding that the Egyptian people be treated with dignity, which he referred to as a spontaneous idea. Security agencies targeted the campaign and those who were promoting it. On the day of anger, January 27th, Wael Ghanem disappeared. He considered himself a mere internet activist, whereas others paid with their lives and spent their money in the pursuit of a better Egypt. Egyptian security authorities arrested him that morning without releasing any information. This led the revolutionaries in the square to choose him as their official spokesman, but this was merely a ploy to push the authorities to announce his location. On February 7th, he was released, and the General Secretary of the ruling National Democratic Party, Hassan Badrawi, drove him home. The two had a long conversation, during which Badrawi said the National Party had changed, saying, quote, "We have replaced the figures you hate." In response, Wael said, "I no longer want to see the logo of the National Party, and that respectable figures must leave the party that ruined political life in Egypt because it is impossible to reform."
First, I'd like to send my condolences to the families of all the Egyptians who died. I can't say that I apologize because no protester broke anything. All protests were peaceful. Our motto was, "Do not break." Second of all, I want to say, please don't make a hero out of me. On the contrary, I'm a person who's been sleeping for 12 days. The real heroes are the people on the street. Please give the attention to the right people. Thank God I am all right, and God willing, we will change our country. All the mess that was happening in the country must be cleaned up, and all of us will clean up this mess together.
In other news, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad today claimed that the popular uprising in Egypt reveals the emergence of a new Islamic Middle East that will exclude interference from Israel and the United States. This, as Iran today marked the 32nd anniversary of its 1979 Islamic Revolution that toppled the pro-U.S. regime of Shah Reza Pahlavi. Tens of thousands today marched down the capital's main boulevard in state-organized festivities, with many chanting their support of Egyptian demonstrators. Others set an effigy of Hosni Mubarak on fire while shouting, "Congratulations on the uprising of your people." Iranian state television broadcast simultaneous live footage of the gathering at Tehran's Azadi, or Freedom Square, and that of anti-government demonstrations in Cairo's Tahrir, or Liberty Square. After his address, Ahmadinejad carried a placard reading, "Death to Israel." And meanwhile, in an apparent effort to thwart similar movement by local opposition, Iranian security forces placed several pro-democracy activists under arrest. Leading opposition figure Mahdi Karoubi has been placed under house arrest following the denial of his request to hold a rally in support of anti-government demonstrations in Egypt. Here in the capital, police remained on high alert across Jerusalem, and particularly in the Old City today, out of concern of potential unrest sparked by nearby disturbances in Egypt, as well as this morning's murder of a 24-year-old East Jerusalem man. The resident of the Aqab village died after being stabbed in the neck during an early morning street brawl between groups of Jews and Arabs in the city's center on Hillel Street. Members of both groups are believed to have been intoxicated at the time of the clash. One additional man was injured and 2 others are placed under arrest for involvement. Their remand was this afternoon extended by 6 days. In an apparently unrelated incident, a 20-year-old Jewish resident was arrested yesterday after a failed attempt to stab an Arab man at the Pisgah Ze'ev shopping mall yesterday afternoon. The intended victim was unharmed.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible by grants from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, the Firedoll Foundation, and by support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news, read our blog, get transcripts of past shows, and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs which connect you to the world.